Okay, here we go. This is one of the most important modules, and I may say that about all the modules, but in fact, health and self-care, if you don't have that, it's hard to enjoy anything else. So let's talk about health and self-care. There's a couple things we want to address. The actual stress reaction to challenges in your life and how you respond to things is going to make all the difference in how your body responds to stress and how whether it's going to make you stronger and you'll be more resilient and you'll be able to handle adversity better, or if that stress is going to break you down. So we want to make sure that you have the self-care tools to handle stress and take care of your health and your self-care so that you are building resilience through adversity. Got it? So there are things that can get in the way, and we're going to talk about how to minimize the challenge of those things. And I'm going to call it stress, but it could be whatever is your interpretation of that, so that you feel safe and secure. Whatever might make you feel uncertain, lost, stuck, overwhelmed, fearful, those are all the things. And it's like each of them apply to you given the situation that you're in. The most important thing that you can do to feel safe and secure when any kind of change, big change, has rocked your world is to care for your health. You have renewed reasons to get it in control. Your health is of tantamount importance to your success, your family's success, if you've got children, to their success. It's the take care of yourself first so that you're in a position to take care of other people. Prioritizing your health, as everything else hinges on it, should be the top priority. Everything you do, every decision that you make, every choice should help you reach to your ultimate goals. What should you eat? Should you save? Should you spend? How will you get a good night's sleep? What will be the best use of your precious time, your precious resources? Should you plan for tomorrow? Should you live in the moment of today? Are you more risk averse because you are in a new position, you have a new role? You know what? Your community, your people, your family cannot afford to lose you. So make choices as to how you will use your limited supply of energy. So who's going to take care of you? So that's what we're going to talk about. I'm going to share my screen here. And we're going to start with my definition really of grief. And I've written a whole poem on this, and it just flowed out of me. But this is just one little excerpt of it. Grief and gratitude. Grief grins, reminding you to feel the depth of joy as fully as you felt the depth of grief, because one does not exist without the other. And you hold grief in a safe place, grateful for having had the depth of love as deep as the depth of the pain of loss, showing that you are living fully. So this is grief and gratitude. And really what I'm talking about is knowing to appreciate what you have had the opportunity of experiencing in your life, and how to identify what grief may hold, so that it doesn't have a hold on you, so that you can treasure it. So with that, when you can identify whatever this transition is holding for you that you treasure, and honor that in many, many ways, and we can talk about that one-on-one sometime, be it writing letters, journaling, releasing dance, letting it be an artistic expression, diving into your work, allowing yourself to go deeper into, a more self-actualized state, whatever it is. Identify what grief holds for you and treasure and honor all the gifts that have been brought to you in that, so that grief doesn't have a hold on you and in which case it may hold you back. That way, grief can help move you forward. One of my quotes really is that we're taught how to acquire things in life. We are not taught how to let go. And what I'm referring to is how we transition from one developmental stage to the next. And how do you make that graceful and smooth? And it's one thing to leave an identity, a role, a hat that you wear. And what I mean by that is if you were a spouse and you are now a single person, then you had one identity and now you have another. If you were a parent and now you are not, for whatever reason that may have been, or maybe you were a single person and now you've brought a partner into your life, that would be changing roles. So we're taught how to acquire things, but we're not taught how to let go when we move through a separation, a divorce, a breakup, a loss. We're not taught how to let go to, even if we have kids who are building a future for themselves and they are in the world and we're launching them. So that's letting go of that identity of being solely responsible for an individual. If you're caretaking for an adult and they pass on or leave or for whatever reason, it's like, well, now what do I do? I had one job and now my job has changed. So we're not really taught how to let go of those situations, but that's what we're doing here. So what's at stake? And you may have remembered this slide from before. When you're making these big changes in your life, what is at stake here? There are external factors that change, realities of your current situation. Maybe when you're in a partnership, you're relying on your partner for revenue or making meals at home or picking up kids or driving from this place to that or making appointments. Maybe you rely on them for things and they're no longer there. And it's up to you to stand on your own 2 feet and be an individual. Maybe you're accustomed to a specific community, which changes. What are the consequences to those changes? You have a new environment. So in this case, it's the goldfish who's going from a small pond to a bigger pond. Internally, there are emotional consequences that we go through when we make changes in our lives. And fear, sadness, anger, enjoyment, and disgust are all emotional GPS indicators that we want to refer to because they're telling us something about what is going on right now. So rather than just trying to overcome an emotion, really identify what is it telling you? What are you going to learn from that? And for a great resource, Paul Ekman has done the Atlas of Emotions.org. And you can go there. And I'm happy to walk you through it. But essentially what it's doing is showing you these big emotions and what scale they may have and what to do about it. And then also what's at stake is philosophically your sense of self. So we talked about identity changes. Your values and beliefs may change. If you used to prioritize one thing, and when so many variables change in your life, it may change your priorities. And that's part of letting go of who you used to be and adjusting your priorities to what's appropriate right now for you and your family. So what I'd like to talk about in this session is the emergency kit of self-care solutions so that you are having access to the energy and resources that you need at a moment's notice. You have what you need when you need it so that you're refilling your bucket, your emotional bucket, that you've got stabilization, that you've got the resource internally that you can go for this marathon of sprints, I call it. One of those things we talked about is creating an inspirational advisory board so that you've got a team of people who are literally looking out for you because they have your best interest in mind. We talked about them being emotional support, subject matter experts, as well as accountability partners and people who are willing to leverage their position to help you. We also talked about when, yeah, oh, I thought there was another slide in here, so that's fine. But building that emotional support team is brilliant. So when people say, oh, take care of yourself, I really had to ask myself, what does this mean? And I think that when my daughter was very little, it was age appropriate for her to have invisible friends. And she told me, where is it? I can read it to you. She said, Mommy, I have two invisible friends. And she's telling me about them. And she says they're named Good Food Food and Bad Food Food. And she says, Good Food Food sets a good example, eats growing food, and has good manners. Bad food food eats junk food, has bad manners, and teaches everyone bad manners. You can try to get rid of bad food, but bad food is very, very strong. And it keeps coming back. Although bad food is very strong, this is where the things get real. She says, you just need to be a little bit more powerful than bad food. And I'm like, oh my God, that's like the best self-help ever right there. So really what she's saying is this rings true for every willpower test that you face. You don't need to be the Olympic athlete of willpower. You just need to be a little bit more powerful than that other decision, than the lesser decision, or the decision that's going to be, giving you not the greatest reward. So whatever it is that you're facing, be kind to yourself and listen to your inner voice and see what good food would teach you and what bad food might teach you. And realize that it's okay. Sometimes you got to just go party with bad food and indulge and love that. And identifying that as something you're really indulging in actually gives it a lot more richness. So bad food doesn't need to lose all the time. Here's another one of my famous quotes: stretch your strengths and strengthen your weaknesses for proper balance. And we talk about this with superpowers, but it rings true everywhere. So if you have a weakness in the area of, making sure you're nourishing yourself with the proper food, that might be an arena that you ask for support from someone else so that it's easier to make the right decision for you. And again, these are all personal choices, and there's, you can go through each module and go, well, where are my strengths that I might be able to help someone else? And where are my weaknesses that I can fill any vulnerabilities so that I have the stability in place? Okay, so this is where things get really fun, because there are different levels of healthcare and self-care. And I talk about this because your priorities change, and something that may have felt like a luxury before is actually no longer a luxury. It's now something that really needs to happen. One example, I was working with a client, and she was saying that she lives alone. She likes to eat home cooked meals, but she tends to not prepare anything in advance. And when she does, go grocery shopping and goes through the whole 9 yards, she's disappointed because it becomes so expensive due to the fact that she throws most of it away. It goes bad because she doesn't want to eat the same thing all the time. And her dream come true luxury would be to get one of those food services where they give you the kit that you need to prepare a meal. And when we actually ran the numbers, it was less expensive for her to have food delivered to her door than it was for her to go do the shopping and then prepare meals, and then the expense of throwing away what she wasn't going to eat because she was only one person. So do you see how in that example that it's actually not what she perceived as a luxury is no longer a luxury? So whether it's a 2-week vacation or if it's a staycation and you're staying at home and you're just taking a pause from your normal routine and putting something fun in there. That would be what I call a staycation. Maybe it's a daycation where you spend some time doing something you love and it's just one day. That is amazing. It's an amazing day. What if it's a microcation, like you have a celebratory lunch or a meal with someone? What if you just take a moment, a time out for yourself and take a breath? Give yourself the rest and renewal that you need at that moment, making sure that you are stretching your strengths and strengthening your weaknesses so that you have the stability and the resilience that you need, and you're feeling prepared to take on whatever comes your way. So much so that you can take it on with strong mental, physical, and emotional acuity. So, how do you get there? What re-energizes you? Well, I have now done this workshop so many times. We could go through and, you could pause this video and make a list and start to make the list of what re-energizes you. So it's perfectly personalized. And then you can restart the video and I will share with you ideas that I've collected over the years through workshops, like good sleep. These are like the top 10 list. Meditation and yoga, something to look forward to. How great is that? Knowing that there's something that you can be eager about, whether it's a life celebration or a phone call with a friend, whatever it is, putting something out into the future gives you reason to hook something into the future that you know you're going toward. It's a great one. Laughter. Oh my God, laughter is the greatest medicine. And being able to relax enough to find joy in something where you laugh about it, one of the greatest things ever. Good stories. Yeah. Knowing that you're loved and valued. Knowing you get to enjoy this very moment and that you're sharing it with me. Thank you. Trying something new. This one's brilliant because it means you're getting outside your comfort zone a little bit. And that's going to teach your brain that it's okay to do more than just exactly what you did before. And when you exercise that just a little squinch outside your comfort zone, keep on practicing that a little bit, you expand your horizons and your ability and your competencies, and again, your life experience. And working toward a positive goal. I mean, knowing that you've got a vision that you're working toward is very, very energizing, rather than just getting up and going through the same rut every day and not knowing why. So this is how do you give yourself a why are you doing something? And that would be in the example of working toward a positive goal. Okay, so how do you build the energy to do these things? Well, breathing, I mean, we'll get into more depth on that in a moment, but come on, it's the quickest way that you can get re-energized. Exercise. Sometimes all you want to do is be a couch potato. And the best thing you could do would be to move your adrenals and your circulatory and your respiratory system, and your musculature really needs that sense of movement. Nourishing yourself in a healthy way with food, with fresh water, doing something fun with people you care about and respect. That is re-energizing. Nature is re-energizing. Chatting with friends, working on projects with friends. This is a level up because it means you're doing something constructive and you're creating. So it's a whole nother level. And going on adventures. Again, it's reaching outside your current comfort zone to really experience something that is not in your normal daily routine. Okay, so let's go a little bit deeper into these. The best bridge between despair and hope is a good night's sleep, says Joseph Cosman. And we all understand that. And if the night before version of you could talk with the next morning version of you, Sometimes the next, and vice versa, the next morning would talk to the night before going, why couldn't you have just gone to sleep? We could have just been so much more lucid today to make it happen. Um, but there's a whole bunch of challenges between you and a good night's sleep. But sleep is an incredibly active state in the brain and the body. There's so much happening. Your brain is 30% more active in some stages of sleep relative to when you are awake. So there's more happening than we are even aware of. During a deep sleep, for example, your brain cleanses itself of toxins that have been building up during the day. The things that affect a good night's sleep include environment, there's natural support, and there's daytime habits like setting a bedtime. You don't even have to meet the bedtime all the time, but knowing that 10 o'clock, for example, is your bedtime, then you know if you went to bed early and you can read or, watch a show or talk with a friend or something, or if you're late for your bedtime, then your brain will be like, oh, I have to try harder to go to sleep because I'm late for bed. Lots of bright morning light, decreasing light exposure throughout the afternoon and evening helps. And of course, avoiding caffeine after midday. Sleep is the rejuvenating elixir of life. Okay, let's talk about self-care solutions. And there's a bunch of big headings on this. The first one we'll talk about is gratitude. So having the attitude of gratitude, realizing that living comes in the small moments. I mean, if your whole life with this Disneyland ride at the very apex of the ride, it'd be pretty thrilling all the time. Sometimes you need to have the down, the calm, as well as the excitement so that you can identify the difference between the two. Memory is these small moments with all the white space around it. And maybe what you can do is write one small moment that you are grateful for each day. I call it like taking a picture in my mind and connecting all of those as like a pearl necklace of moments that I'm grateful for in life. Okay, here's a surprise one. Failure is something that helps us because we are learning from our mistakes by designing experiments, whether it's we fall down and we get back up again. But these obstacles are actually strengthening us so we know what doesn't work. And you could try something 100 different ways and you know those ways don't work, then you try another one. So you're actually getting smarter with each failure. They say fail fast, fail frequently, and do not let it keep you from pursuing forward. So, like I said, I think it was Edison who was like found 1,522 ways to not make a light bulb light up, and then he found the one that did. So keep trying. How have you overcome things in the past is a good way to figure out how you might overcome a challenge in the future. So learning from failure is really, really valuable. Okay, how about your skills? You may want to learn a new skill or master one and be more accomplished in a skill that you already have. That could be a self-care solution because you're enhancing your experience, you're improving your skills. And it gives you a chance to step outside your comfort zone and take creative risks. And we feel more stabilized when we can take risks and come back to neutral. So that's why I was saying just a little bit outside your comfort zone, such a good life experience. And that effort is what makes you smart. Okay, there's practice and experience. You can get practice and experience in doing most things, either by taking a class, interning, volunteering, trying something new, and testing the waters. Excuse me. Another one is building the connections that you have in the world with relationships with other people, animals, experiences. How about enhancing some experience you have in your community by becoming engaged, by becoming involved? Philanthropy, you can do at almost any level, just get creative, that you can help other people. And how do you do that? What if you have no point of reference on something? You can ask for an informational interview from someone who is an expert and learn from them as leaders. And also you can reach out to your accountability partners for support. Excuse me. Okay, we got some more. And again, you can pause the video and add to these lists. These are just some top hits that I've pulled from workshops gone by. Self-acceptance. Oh, this is a biggie for people. What is your sense of self-worth? And this is, how you perceive your position in your community, in your circles, in your friends, in your family. Where do you fit? And, you don't want to outsource your self-value, because that's where you make a difference in the world. So instead, step into who you truly are. And it's so often that we pretend to be something that we're not. And because we think people will like us more if we're that thing. But if you really can't be that thing, be your authentic self, because you are the perfect version of who we want in the world. You just as you are, exactly as you are. And I often ask myself, what would you do if you knew you would not fail? Gives me confidence to go for it. Patience. They say genius is eternal patience. That was Michelangelo's saying. Sometimes, time heals all wounds. I don't know. I'm not sure I agree with that one particularly, but it does change things. So being patient and allowing time to occur for the right moment for something. And for some reason, playing tennis comes to mind, where you need to be patient for the ball to come right to the right point, and then you can hit it. But if you're not, you're just swinging at air. So you want to time things in your life as well. Being persistent. There's something called the endowment effect, where things are more valuable because you owned them. And that is, it's a sense of earning something rather than just having something presented to you. Changes the way you value it. Another way is to attach yourself to a vision or self-image. We talked about this before in talking to your 100-year-old self, or stepping into who you wish to become. Because if you perceive yourself as who you wish to be, it's so much easier to become that, because you're so focused on it. You're practically it already, but you need to stay focused on who you wish to become. Inherently take on responsibility of holding onto it and making it your own. So again, it's living your life the way you perceive who you wish to be makes all the difference in the world. All right. Nourish, balance, and inspire. 3 of my favorites. Nourish yourself first by giving yourself food that feeds you. How else do you nourish yourself? Realize your vision. Be inspired. How do you find inspiration? Figure out your why. Maybe you're nourishing yourself by filling your senses with beautiful visions, gorgeous smells of lemon and gardenia. Maybe it's by hearing music or children laughing, the ocean waves, or a sense of quiet and calm in nature. How else can you fulfill your senses? The sense of touch, petting a soft, furry friend. Did I hit them all? Sight, sound, taste. What your favorite thing to taste might be, or just mixing it up and mixing flavors together. Another way to nourish yourself is to discover ways that you feel your heart is filled with love. Is that by reading to a child, or spending time with a pet? How is your heart filled with love? By creating moments in happy relationships, acknowledging them, or creating those magic moments, When you're with someone, or even remotely, but you're connecting with someone, and you're experiencing your emotions is another way to nourish yourself. I talk about the emotional GPS of when you stop for a moment and really assess, what is the feeling I'm feeling right now? And in the background outside, I can hear a family playing together. And that warms my heart. They're screeching, they're playing, and I can almost feel the bonding that's happening with the family because they're all playing together, which brings me joy as well. Another way to nourish yourself is through intellectual curiousness. And that would be like discovering something new. And that kind of adventure is so exciting. It could be from reading a book, it could be going on some fictional character's adventure, it could be actually going on adventure, it could be going on an adventure in your imagination. Those are all ways to nourish yourself. What ways do you nourish yourself? Okay, let's talk about balance. You want to, I say, creating the positive opposite in the moment. And what I mean by this, I'm going to give you an example. I'm not the only one who knows that there are specific days that we celebrate throughout the year. Well, there are also days that are honoring things that were very hard or big losses. Um, and so for me, what I do is I think of what would be the positive opposite. So in a day that I might have felt in the gravest despair, how can I, as an anniversary of that day, create something that's totally joyful or healthy or rebuilding? So that's what I mean by the positive opposite. And it doesn't have to be quite that extreme, but that's actually how I started. I wrote this book and started with this program, because on the anniversary of my late husband's passing, I put together a spa retreat with some friends. And it was the first retreat where we talked about these self-care solutions. So hooray for that positive opposite. Compartmentalizing and decompartmentalizing. Sometimes you might need a friend to help you with this, but there are times when, like, if I'm driving and I'm feeling emotionally and I'm crying, I'm in the car all by myself. But when there's time to get out and be, at my destination or working or whatever, then it's like, all right, the crying is over, that emotion stays right there. I can go back and I've got what I need. I've worked through the emotion and now I can get the work done that needs to get done. And if I feel like it's not all out yet, I'll schedule time. You can actually schedule it. And then you kind of go, do I really need that right now? Because your chemistry changes, and scheduling it allows you to know that you can still have the emotions and also feel the chemistry that you're in at that point in time. Pausing. Sometimes just take a breather, for whatever you need to be doing so that you have time to think something all the way through. How about finding inner joy, like looking for where's the joy in the moment? Taking care for yourself first, knowing that you're going to be there for you, is like the best friend you could possibly give for yourself, which totally provides balance. And that's really an example of that, is speaking to yourself as you would a loved one. So sometimes you need to talk that out to someone else, because we tend to be kinder to other people than we are to ourselves. We're more critical of ourselves. But if you speak to yourself as you would to someone else who you loved, then it kind of changes the conversation a little bit. All right, inspire. This is where we get to be super playful and find the folly, the joy, the silly, the moments of laughter in something. Maybe it's, what do you truly desire? And if you know, I mean, what did you think of when I said that? Can you find that moment? Where's that moment? Pursuing intellectual curiosity, innovations, acknowledging and showing gratitude for the people who have presented us with all of the innovation and invention that we have today, and how could you bring it forward? Maybe reframing a story. Thinking of an example on this one. Oh, I can think of a really good one. It's so sorry in advance, but evidently there's a story about a kid who goes into a room and there's horse manure in the middle of the room. And that could just be a terrible situation. Oh my God, he's just walked into a room and there's horse manure in the middle of the room. But what the kid might say is, oh, there must be a pony in here somewhere. So you see how just changing perspective or reframing the story can change everything. Sticking through the hard times, knowing that life's not all the fun times, but if you can bond through the hard times, that's where the real relationships happen. So taking that opportunity to lean in and reach out and really stick through the hard times reminds you that they're not all hard times, and just stick it out because there's going to be good stuff coming too. And receiving the gift of help as much as giving it is also totally inspirational. Breathing. Let's take a moment on breathing. Breathing refuels and nourishes you on a cellular level. It actually very quickly cools off your brain and changes your brain's ability to think from that autonomic, instinctual brain that is very reactive and sometimes might feel victimized. And when you've got enough oxygen, it switches to your prefrontal cortex where you can actually make really good decisions. But with that being suffocated or cut off, we don't always make the best choices. So remember to breathe. Drink water. We are mostly water. Hydrating moistens tissues in your eyes, your nose, your mouth, but your whole body, all your cells. It protects your body, organs, and tissues. It helps prevent constipation. It dissolves minerals and other nutrients to make them accessible to the body. Hydrating, meaning drink water, carries nutrients and oxygens to your cells, lessens the burden on the kidneys and liver by flushing out waste, lubricates your joints, and regulates your body temperature. So drink water. And then also there's the affirmations. And you might put one on your refrigerator. When I was talking with a client today, he said, I'm going to put that up on my refrigerator. And we were talking about seeing the positive in something and reframing it. And so he was saying that he wanted to put that up on his refrigerator on a sticky note so he could see it every day. And it's a great reminder, how important is this thing that our brains are grinding on right now? Will it be equally important in an hour, a week, a month, a year, 5 years from now? Would you even bother with it to help assess the prioritization of something? So put those lovely mantras like take what you need, not more than what you need. Give what you can, not more than what you have. Put it somewhere. Your self-talk, that's the message that you're sending yourself. It's like your inner voice. And I mean, don't you want to be best friends with you? So be nice. Finding centering movement, taking a moment to feel your feet on the floor, feel your body balanced between both feet by pivoting, and bring that back into balance. And then do the same thing forward and back. And then find that center point there. Hips align with your spine, or your shoulders align with your hips, and your head in line with your spine. Just taking a breath. And move from that center point of view actually changes your courage completely. Getting back into nature and connection with earth, walking barefoot. Those are ways to find affirmations. Touching and connecting, sharing any experience with a loved one, acknowledging that you are safe, loved, and not alone. So how do you transform your life from being mundane, routine, fearful, uncertain, lost, heartbroken, to a life filled with luxuries? And the way to do that is a little bit at a time. You don't need to make huge changes in your life because there's growing pains that are associated with that. So it's really in your best interest to make smaller changes with 10% adjustment and 90% stability. So you've got that sturdy platform to move from. So that's how you make big changes, a little at a time. What do they say? Eat the elephant one bite at a time. But it's really keeping your eye on that focused goal and realizing that you need to take one step at a time to get there. Remembering that not every package that is delivered for you is for you. So, and what I mean by that is if somebody sends you a message or says something that's negative or not in line with your authentic goals and yourself, then don't sign for that package. Don't accept it. Take what you need and leave the rest behind. Let other people's issues be with other people. It's really hard to figure that out sometimes because you might be attacked at something and you're like, did I do something wrong? And then you've got to realize, you haven't changed your path at all. It's really that other person struggling with something, and it has little to do with you. So take what you need and leave the rest behind, because at some point you will start to want for more from your life, because you could be in a situation where you're feeling lonely. Too much stress is going to have a negative impact on your health. You may have regrets. It's time to reach out for those little things. It's a simple thing once you actually take the initiative to do it. You are valuable and valued, and you're worth it. Take the moment to take care of yourself. And I've just shared with you the emergency kit with self-care solutions of, I think there were probably 100 things that you could do very quickly, very inexpensively to support your valuable self. I see you. I hear you. What you say and do matters. The final stage of healing is using what happens to you to help other people. So I say, giving it forward. The river cannot thank the stream for the water that has come through it, nor can the ocean thank the river, but we pay it forward, just like the water flows. And if you need my help, come to yourlifeworthliving.org and scroll down on the right and hit I'm ready and set up some time with me. I'm here for you.